One Piece Chapter 1136, The Land That Awaits the Sun. Alright guys, here we go. It's a big week for us One Piece fans, and it's been an exciting start to the year so far. Right now, the entire community is buzzing about big reveals in Chapter 1136. Ever since the early spoilers drop, we have all these big content creators giving their take on all the new developments. And you know what? I want a piece of that giant berry pie too. But huge shoutouts to Pew Peace and Mugiwara23. I see the online community reference these guys' leaks a lot, and I've got to express my appreciation to you pirates too. Yo, but everyone's buzzing about the entire Shanks versus Loki ordeal. There's been some talk, guys. The One Piece community is filled with a bunch of fans who love to develop all these wild and wacky conspiracy theories. And bros, I'm all in for it. I'm all for it. And it's so great to be a part of this community, and that's part of the reason I got into making these videos too. I want to learn more about these theories and dive into these lores and share my own thoughts and develop my own opinions on an anime I love so dearly. But you guys are slick with it. I can't remember who exactly or where. I know this dude Civ is always on top of his game with some wild thoughts, but there was some noise on the time frame of when and how Shanks became an emperor of the sea, and in chapter 1136 it seems to all check out. Everything is lining up. So we learn from the great big giant Jarul, who still has his big old sword lodged into his helmet. Anyways, while they're chilling at the party, having some drinks and enjoying some moose meat, Big Guy is telling some stories about Loki and about that one time when Loki was just about in his early teens. He rampaged Elbaph and ended up killing his dad, Harold, the king of Elbaph, right? So now we're not too sure what type of warrior position Ja Rule held during King Harold's reign. They refer to him as a lord, but he says he had to step in, and that's right about when he ended up getting whacked in the head by Loki. And I even think he got smacked with his own weapon, because if it belonged to Loki, I'm sure a sword wielder would always collect his blade. But after taking the legendary devil fruit, ended his father's king career and gave Ja Rule a permanent sword for a horn, Loki decided to run wild and he left Elbaph. He went out to sea. On what, you might add? Well, Ja Rule doesn't quite say if he left on a ship, but he did say he went out to cause some chaos at sea. And yeah, this is when that theory gets confirmed. This happened 6 years ago. Ja Rule tells that it was red-haired Shanks who might have battled and then captured Loki and dragged his ass back to Elbaph. You might be wondering how, too, and unfortunately guys, this chapter doesn't give all the secrets, but it gets me really excited to think of some backstories when the anime finally catches up. We get some juicy stuff in chapter 1136, but as always, it's just a little bit to leave us salivating and going off on our own hunt, busting out the magnifying glasses, looking for hints and clues, and running to the One Piece library for data to fuel our next big theories. I had a theory of my own after reading chapter 1135. I noticed our green-haired swordsman was never seen or mentioned in the previous chapter. Did he had to make some sort of cameo in some other anime series that week? I love those memes where Zoro get lost in other anime universes, but I might have looked too deep into him not being mentioned in chapter 1135. I thought for sure he might have an accidental run-in with the God's Knight before they got to Loki. I thought for sure Zoro was already lost on the giant island of Elbaph, but nope. The man mysteriously shows up in chapter 1136 drinking some beer and ready to get into some trouble with his captain. Maybe bro was somewhere passed out drunk, since I'm sure Elbaph has a near infinite amount of brew for a normal sized human. So a solid hangover explains Zoro's actions in this chapter. When Luffy heard that Shanks was the one who captured Loki, he got all excited. I bet this man almost choked on his moose meat. So Zoro's drunken hawk, he might have been super strong right now, and he noticed Luffy acting a little bit sus, right? So he drags this kid all the way to the outskirts of town. And I'm guessing Luffy tells Zoro the story that he actually met this crazy chaotic giant that Ja Rule had been talking about, the same one who Shanks took down. And these two, of course, they share the same brain cell most of the time, so Luffy ends up telling Zoro about the keys and they began planning how to take them. But you would kind of think that if your idol, Shanks, the man who you know to only do good things, you'd think that if your hero captures a bad guy, you'd want to keep said bad guy captured, right? So does Luffy want to just capture him better? Classic Luffy. He's probably taking this as a fucking joke, a way to one-up Shanks. Everything is just a game to this dude. But we already know he and Loki have some kind of a decent little bond, some kind of weird little sun god connection, unless Loki is just toying with Roddy, just so he can be freed. But Zoro's idea in all of this is pretty much the same as Luffy's. It's really just to see how strong this great big daddy strangler really is. But he's also actually concerned about some giant just taking advantage of his idiot captain. Big brother Zoro. These two alone really think they have the strength of the entire Elbaph warriors. But you know, they just might. I also had this theory that Zoro might be stronger or at least able to beat Luffy, but he never really shows off too much. It's a self-reminder that he's not the captain or the main character. I mean, Luffy is susceptible to blades, right? So Zoro might just have an upper hand. I'm just saying. Zoro's encounter with Kaku on Egghead and his fight against the Seraphim kinda makes it feel like Zoro is barely going all out. I mean, come on. An awakened Kaku was light work for bro. Yeah, but back into it after getting distracted, because now out of all the other straw hats to catch them scheming up something, it happens to be Nami. So it looks like on this big badass adventure to retrieve the freedom key, we're going to have Nami come along for her own personal gains. She told them that they already know they can't get anywhere without her, which is fair. Luffy just follows an aimless but somehow lucky instinct, and Zoro hardly has any instinct and usually just ends up getting lucky. Maybe he's a lucky leprechaun. Kid explained his clover green hair. Zoro might just be a misguided Irish, guys. Hey, but Nami ends up joining this raid as the navigator, and we all know her burglarizing fingers are just itching for some giant treasures too. And so it seems like they go and they're riding as Var, one of the little floating rowboat contraptions. But wait a minute, guys, hold up. And this is what I mean by surprises and twists in these chapters. Nami is a little baddie, so it looks like she freed Road. Remember how Road had this little obsession with Nami? Dude, above everyone else, Road got to undress Nami while she was passed out. And now that we know giants can have kids with humans, what if Road might have... No. I was just as upset as Sanji when I found out Road had been playing dress up with an unconscious Nami. Man's sick. So he's done that, but I'm guessing Nami has some sort of kink towards how much he likes her. I'm guessing she sure does enjoy a lot of attention. But come on, the guy was strung up on a cross, crucifixion style, and she might have gotten him free. So he's rowing the boat, right? And even Luffy and Zoro are asking like, why the fuck is this creep here? So Nami is using her disco stick to shock this man, and he fucking likes it. She tells Luffy this is now her servant. The woman adopted this freaky ass giant to become her servant even after what he put them through. Never mind the rest of the crew, but straight up violated this girl. And now he's your servant? Nami, no, baby girl, don't do that. But anyways, guys, distracted again. Zeus had to step in and let Road know. If he's going to be a servant, he's going to at least be number 3. Zeus is number 1. Sanji is number 2, and then there are positions open from there. But then we also dive back into the underworld in this chapter. Remember the hooded knights from last chapter, hooded Shanks and the masked lady? Well, now they get past the giants at the entrance, and now they're in the underworld headed towards Loki. So we don't get a name for the mysterious Shanks yet, so I've been calling him Spanks. But what we do get is a little bit more into his partner. We learn here that her name is Gunko, and in Japanese that means army child. So Oda might be cooking with some serious combat abilities with this lady. Or has she been around since the Holy War and maybe she's a child of that war-ridden era? So she's a member of the God Knights, and we learned that their purpose on Elbaph is not to defeat Loki. Well, at least that's what it seems at first. This could all just be deception. These two say that they are here to recruit Loki into the God's Night, but Loki is not having it. Him and Loki share a lot of similarities here. He just laughs at them even while he's chained up. He said he's never joining up with those scum. So he's asking them if they are with the Celestian Dragons, but they don't really seem to be much on answering questions right now. And so Gunko doesn't really like this. She seems a little bit battle tested. She's got a type of army style hat on with some goggles, and those bandages only cover one of her eyes and her arm, and then she also wears a really dark blazer, a long sleeve blazer. And so she gets a little bit upset over Loki's lack of manners, just laughing at them. So she says, you know what, she can easily just erase him instead. Even Spanks has to calm her down. She's like giving off a little PTSD vibe, but it's okay. She gets calmed down for now. But as he's trying to get her to breathe in, breathe out, there's one of Loki's wolf behind them. This man laughs and gives the order for this wolf to eat them. But I think he really should have seen this coming. Gunko was already waiting to take her frustration from lack of manners out on something. Fuck deep breaths. She quickly snatched this dog up by the throat using her bandages, then has the audacity to hang him in the air for Loki to see. I mean, what? She was waiting for this kill all day, while Loki kind of cries for his wolf, begging her to stop. So lightheaded Spanks come to a solution and tell Loki, hey bud, would you maybe change your mind in exchange for the life of your little friend? And maybe this year lollipop? But Loki just keeps his defiant look directly on Gunko and Spanks, and his wolf is just dangling there, slowly running out of airspace. He just says to them, so that's the deal you want to make, huh? And he tells his wolf friend he's sorry. He says, that's your sad fate, my friend. Rest in peace, bud. There's always anger and there will always be sadness, but a warrior never loses calm in the presence of death. He says that he will swallow this rage and destroy the world. And that's where this chapter ends, guys. We will have to see how this plays out in the coming weeks, and pay close attention to the way Loki presents these final words, guys. Because a moment ago it says that he was screaming for his friend, kind of like he was about to lose his cool. I have begun to see theories already that behind this tough guy warrior facade, Loki is truly a down-to-earth sweetheart. He kind of reminds me of Lenny from this book of Mice and Men, where his overwhelming strength got him in trouble and his escape was just out of panic. Maybe this is Loki's way of trying to be brave, trying to wear the sun god spirit, but perhaps behind that tough exterior is a cowardly giant with all sorts of regret, and maybe even fear of himself and what this power can actually do to the world around him. Maybe his idea of becoming scum means having no part in helping to destroy the world, actually. So that's it for me for chapter 1136, guys. So we'll be talking about it all week, and hopefully I can snag a few views from the Grand Line Review or Tech King and Mr. Morge and those guys. But shout out to those guys for providing some inspiration and being a good source of info, and also with you guys' help, I hope to gain a higher bounty here on the YouTube amongst these other One Piece creators. So do me a little subscribe, drop your thoughts and theories around chapter 1136 in the comments below, and give this video a like. I can't wait to start my own greater YouTube journey with my own grand fleet producing even better content, and your support is always highly appreciated. Until next time,